My name is Geoff. I was born in Baddow Road, Sam's Baddow Road, in my grandma and granddad's shop, wholesalers. But I lived at Woodford Grove, which is off Wood Street, bottom of St John's Hospital. I went to Molsham School. I went from the infant school right up to the senior school. The first year that ever did a mixed fifth form. I did enjoy it, but I didn't do very well. I applied to Marconi's and Hoffman's and Crompton's, Christian Norris's, big companies in the town, and that's why Chelmsford grew as well as it grew. And I had 3 jobs offered to me, and I decided to actually go for Marconi's, because my granddad used to work at Marconi's at Hall Street with Marconi, and then he moved to building 15 in New Street, where he was on the assembly line building the valve chassis for radios.
Do you know which part of the Hall Street building he worked?
I don't know.
The women tended to work upstairs because that was the winding room, and the men, the macho men, tended to work downstairs because that was the heavy metal room.
He'd be heavy metal.
So he'd be into
chassis, making chassis for radios, I suppose, at the time, the Marconi radio, where the valve holders and the big valves used to go on to run so the radios worked.
Your grandfather might have made the equipment that went into the Titanic?
He could have done. In fact, we saw a documentary on the Titanic, and I thought I recognised some of the Marconi equipment. He used to work on the assembly line, like piecework assembly line, building chassis, as he used to do at Hall Street. But they're all saying that the P bucket always to be under the bench, because being on piecework, he hadn't got time to go to the toilet. He used to go in the P bucket.
And then he moved to New Street in 1912.
Section 15.
What is Section 15?
Section is a assembly line to build up the equipment for the boats, for the army, anything to do with valves. I'm not too sure. All I do know, when my apprenticeship, I used to make valve chassis in 720, which is another. You've got the training centre and 720, which is the assembly line. I used to work on making these chassis up on piecework, against all rules and regulations for apprentices working on piecework, and that everybody used to be a bit crafty, because they used to have buncey jobs under the bench. So if the chassis didn't go too well, on a Thursday, Friday, you could get like a deburring jobs out and make about 300% to pay for ones which weren't being paid. All I know that when I was on piecework in building 720, my brother worked at Marconi's as well. He was a student apprentice, and sometimes I used to bring home more money doing the piecework than he did the apprenticeship on a student apprentice.
When you did piecework, you had a toilet to go to.
We did.
You didn't inherit your grandfather's pee bucket?
No, I didn't. Father had a very interesting career.
Tell us his name.
It was Herbert Cable, same as the Bert Cable. He worked at the AA at Cherry Tree Corner, which everybody knows that the AA office in Cherry Tree Corner, everybody knows that in Cherry Tree Corner is BBC Essex. My father used to be aerial secretary to look after the controlmen on the motorbikes, and I always remember on a Saturday morning I used to, because we lived at Redford Grove, which is only just down the road, he used to take me into work, he used to do his work, he used to give me, one of the patrolmen used to take charge of me, and one of my jobs as a brunt was to clean all the spanners in the sidecar. Then when all the spanners were out the sidecar, I used to hop into the sidecar and used to bomb round the courtyard in the sidecar, and I always remember that.
Were they saluting back then?
Yes, they were always saluting. Wherever my dad went, they used to know exactly where he was and used to look after him. If he broke down, the AA man used to be there, right there.
Lovely memory.
Oh, beautiful memories.
You joined Marconi in what year? Can you?
1959, as a craft apprentice. I applied, after 2 years in my craft apprentice, I applied for a job for the drawing office. Out of 70 people, only 4 people got into that drawing office, and I was a very lucky one.
This was definitely a good move for you, wasn't it?
It was a change. It was a change of my career. It made my career. That's where I really wanted to be, in the drawing office, drawing.
Were you much good at drawing at school?
I was good at drawing. Good at drawing. Good with my hands, good woodwork, good with metalwork.
You inherited that from your father, obviously, the grandfather rather.
Yes, I think I must have done.
There you are working. What section now were you in the drawing room?
The most famous drawing office in all Marconi's, Building 46.
Do you ever get together to meet other people from Building 46?
Yes. At Beehive Lane, in Marconi Club at Beehive Lane, every 2 years.
There's a reunion.
Every reunion, yes.
Specifically for that building.
For Building 46. Building 46 is the main. It's the drawing office transmitter group, building all the transmitters for BBC, ITV, and I was very lucky. I was involved in the main transmitter for BBC was a 250 kilowatt MF transmitter. That was the transmitter which they used. But Marconi's were developing colour television, and then 250 kilowatt, the 250 MF wasn't powerful enough, so they actually built a 750 kilowatt.
And you were in the drawing office designing that?
I was in the drawing office. I was only a detail draftsman. Mechanical designer used to do the designs. Then they used to sketch, and you used to do, from the sketches, you used to do the detail work. In the drawing office, the mechanical designer, there's a master print, which is the sacred print no one touched, no one altered, only the mechanical designer. That was the design of the transmitter, the drawings, and you used to scale off these master drawings to do the piecework, to do the actual detail work. But in time went on, I was used to be given small little designs to do and do the detail work. So building up to senior. So senior design draftsman. One of the main things I used to do, I used to be given doing the general general arrangements of the whole of the transmitters. Now you're talking about these cabinets, 8 foot high, 8 foot long, and 8 foot. They're big cabinets, full up with the equipment. And I used to do the general arrangements for those. And in those days, we didn't have computers. All drawn on the drawing board, and
no CAD.
No CAD, and I remember that the engineers downstairs used to bring up the wiring for the transmitters, and I remember on the 750 kilowatt transmitter, the wiring sheets, there are 250 sheets, and I wrote them out all by hand, and I used to do that on a Saturday morning in overtime, purely because they had to be right. The wiring had to be dead right, and in the week there's too much noise in the drawing office. One thing about the drawing office, and which probably doesn't happen today, you always wore a shirt, a tie and a jacket. The jacket could be taken off when you're drawing, but when you went out the drawing office, your jacket had to go on. So you'd be walking around Marconi's, you're walking around smart. In the hot summer's day, that you're allowed to take a tie, or loosen a tie or something like that. But when you're walking around, tie up, coat on.
So how many years were you with Marconi in total, Geoff?
19, but not 19 years in building 46, because I was called in the office one day. This John Duffield, who's the design manager, says, "You're moving," and I said to him, "What have I done wrong, John?" He said, "You haven't done anything wrong. The Japanese are getting into the market on transmitters, and they're beating Marconi's, so Transmitter Group will not exist one day. So I'm moving you on, first of all, to get to Whittle, where we're developing a new telephone system called PCM, which is postcode code modulation, which every day these days everybody picks up a mobile phone or your phone at home, all fibre optics, and no one thinks more of it. But at Whittle, they actually did the actual whole of Whittle was rewired in fibre optics to prove the design. And I was in the design. I was assigned to an engineer, and we worked on the actual doing all the design. So I was still a senior design draftsman, but doing a mechanical design job.
Your legacy really is the fibre optics team that's still here today.
Yes, definitely. And I always remember, it was 19 years I've been in, and I applied for another job locally in Malden, and the DO manager at the time, Alan Shipcock, he says, "But you've only got one more year to get your gold watch." Says, "I'm not interested in a gold watch, I'm interested in my career." I moved to a company called ICS, Industrial Control Service at Malden, which famous company in these days, still going, it's been taken over by, but I was first in line doing all the shutdown equipment on the North Sea oil rigs. But it was different. In Marconi's, if you wanted to order a component, there was a kind of a sales office or a purchasing office. I was on my own. If I wanted some bit of equipment, I had to phone the companies up and order the equipment. Very worrying times, because it was I was jumped in the frying pan really, and there was another guy who worked at EV, which is E2V now, and we used to go and sit down on a log in Hall Road. It's funny how Hall Road comes up again in Malden, and sit on this lot and talk about our day, and we used to say, "What the hell have we done here? Have we actually?" But he said, "There's something good coming up." One day, Peter Hall came up in the drawing office and said to me, "We've got to get into North Sea." And so he says, "First thing we've got to do, in Hall Road, the battery, Everred battery factory in Hall Road, we've bought that. We've got to have a big factory to build these shutdown cabinets. And the first thing you've got to do is go over there and actually design the building for it to be done." And that's what I did. Secondary, when I've done that, he said, "Right, we've got to show Shell and BP were capable of actually doing a shutdown equipment." And he said, "You've got 2 weeks to actually do this assembly box to actually prove the whip switches and button switches to prove that you could shut down valves. And he said if it takes you 24 hours a day, every day it needs to be done. And I used to spend hours and hours, and I've still got the board at home I designed, which gave ICS, turned into a minor country to a multi-million-pound company.
I hope you got some rewards for that.
The reward I did get, Peter Hall came over and he thanked, when I got the order, I got the first order, Cormorant was the first order in the North Sea, and he came over, he said, here are Geoff, here's an open cheque, just take yourself, your wife and your family away and have a weekend on ICS. And he'd go for a lovely hotel, so I picked a nice 5-star hotel in the country and we had fun, and it just went on from there. But the thing is, designs on these, there again, designs were kind of, they do a new design, had to be done, made, out, tested very quickly, because it was, we were getting the first orders, other people were trying to get into the business. And
so really you were flying by the seat of your pants?
I was, but I had good support with the family support to do it.
How did Marconi start to go downhill? The empire started to collapse after you left? It was
the Japanese market. Though what the Japanese were doing, they were buying a 250 kilowatt transmitter, taking it apart and redesigning it, and coming up with half the price. No, better, cheaper, undermining the market.
Exactly what China's doing.
Exactly the same as China's doing today. I mean, only yesterday that China's were kind of put the price of steel up, and they've got mountains of steel not being used, and make steel rust. The steel rusts away. They pick the rusty up and remelt it. So
that's showbiz.
That's showbiz, yeah.
So you're looking back at a very pleasurable career in Marconi, and your grandfather in Marconi.
Yeah.
You must be very proud of that background.
I am. I'm very proud of something else as well. Yeah. In my hand here, I have a very important magazine. In this magazine, the cabinets which the transmitter was called a page cabinet. And when I was apprentice right in the beginning, this is only 64, and I was asked by the sheet metal foreman, would you make a page cabinet, a miniature page cabinet? So I went into 46, because I knew where the drawings were. I got the drawings of the page, I scaled them down, and I'll show you. If I open it up, I'll show it up. There we are. The page cabinet, which was presented to Mr. Page on his retirement day, which is in the magazine here, and that's what I made for him. It's a cigarette box, and with both the doors.
Same size as a cigarette box. Is that a ruler, 12-inch ruler?
That's a ruler. That's the size I made it. So it's all miniature. Cores and all the handles, the hinges. I made them. I actually turned them up and in the workshop and made them, scaled them down, and made all that. The actual, that.
Does it still exist somewhere? Who's got it now?
Page family. Page was represented the Page family, so it'll probably still be in the family. There is Mr. Page, and the manager is the Page cabinet.
So you put it on the page?
It's fair.
It's on
the page. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, yes. It housed all the actual equipment for the transmitters. The page cabinet was modified a lot in its time, but the basic cabinet design of the actual sheet, of the actual sides, was his design. How it was rolled in, and the strength. Because one of these cabinets had to withstand a vibration test, because they were out in the desert, which someone went out in the desert, went to Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and all that, which as a BBC or television broadcast. Going back, the biggest transmitter ever produced for Marconi was 1,050 kilowatts HF, which very powerful transmitter. And one day they turned the transmitter on full pelt, and all the lights at Chelmsford were dimmed. The whole incredible powerful. It just took so much power. It dimmed all the lights of Chelmsford. Though the whole incredible powerful. It just took so much power. It dimmed all the lights of Chelmsford. Though they weren't too happy, so I told them to not to do that again. But I had to prove it. Had the capabilities. But Rittle first was bought with Marconi's, and in the grounds of Rittle used to be an aeroplane, a Lancaster bomber, which was used for developing a lot of the equipment which would go on the aircraft. It was developing the radar of modern aircraft. The actual.
Why did they need a whole Lancaster there?
Oh, it's to put the equipment in. I mean, I think the Lancaster didn't have any wings on it, but it's the body. At Rittle, the first Marconi hut was at Rittle, which I don't know where the hut. I don't know where the hut is.
Well, they claim it's at Sandford Mill. They claim it's at
Stamford Mill.
But there's a dispute whether it's actually the first hut.
Yeah.
So
the one way they can prove is the first one, because Marconi scribbled his name in the wood. So that will prove that it was the original. That used to be at Rittle. I used to do design work for the actual postcode modulation, which is the fibre optic system as we know today. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed coming here today. It's brought back a lot of memories to know where my granddad used to work, and I haven't looked around the exhibition, but there'll be some lots of memory joggers. I know there will be.
This is the first time you've ever walked inside the building that your grandfather worked?
Well, this is the first time I really realised that was Marconi's, because up to years ago, this used to be Pickford's, the removal people.
When did the penny drop that you're in the building of your grandfather?
Because Hall Road, I knew there was a Marconi's in Hall Road, but never thought it was on the corner. And we actually saw a literature, so we had to come along here today to actually come along here today to experience the experience. In fact, I've looked over there and there's someone I know.
I'll let you go.
Thank you very much for interviewing me. Thank you.